Hey Axis and Allies players, the good captain here, and welcome to a recap of round 15, Entente side of round 15, and the CP side of round 16. This is, I don't know how much longer this is going to take, but this is by far the longest game of Axis and Allies that I've played, like, ever. When did we start this? This started over 4 months ago. Uh, This is not cool, and this is not normal, and so my apologies for this. This guy's turns are getting longer and longer, and you know, when I started with this guy, he was like the third or fourth game, I think, I had played, and now I have completed, I just checked, 24 games, and I have others in process. So when I finish this, it'll be the 25th if it finished tonight. So it's just uncanny. This channel is meant to be kind of like a living document of, you know, my just an insight into kind of how I process through each of these versions of Axis and Allies and try to become, you know, better, and or in other words, to try to master them. And you know, if I would like to get one more game up on this channel, but not with him, this fellow, obviously. So anyway, I digress. Let's go through this recap. Let's get this going. The French purchase 9 infantry and 1 artillery, and they save 1. And I'm going to kind of recap on this save 1, save 2 stuff here in a moment. It'll be relevant towards the end of the video, but the French save an IPC. Okay. They sort of they move against Picardy, Lorraine, and then they put a rather large army in Piedmont, and they stack the rest into Burgundy. These transports move over into this sea zone. Combat ensues. The French miss. This is a blocker clearing team, kind of a standard blocker clearing team of 2 infantry and 1 artillery. There's a 1 in 6 chance this misses. He missed, and the Germans hit. So that's really annoying to be on his side of things when that happens, but not usually deciding the game, those battles. Okay, so then he moves into Lorraine. Same thing. He missed, but this time the Germans missed. So really awful result for the French. That was like -3 or something like that overall, but whatever. Yeah, you should not be doing this. You're not supposed to do this. I guess moving the artillery back is okay, but don't do this. If you ever play Axis and Allies 1914. Oh, okay, that's it. It was just the Swiss move. I thought he was moving a ton of stuff around after combat. That's okay. Alright, that's fine. Not the cleanest, but no big deal. Drops in his purchases. Ends the turn. Okay. British buy 10 infantry and 1 artillery and 1 tank. Combat move. He pushes these 5 infantry and 2 armor and mezzo into Ankara. And just sort of shucks and shifts everyone over like you would expect. Okay. Floats over 4 infantry into Picardy. Combat ensues. Now, the British battleship should not have shot. And I didn't catch this until I'm doing this review. You know why it shouldn't have shot? Because it's a contested zone. It's not an amphibious assault. It's an amphibious reinforcement. So this fella should not have, that battleship should not have shot. So in real time right now, I'll see if this is worth moaning and complaining about. 4 infantry versus 1 infantry. 80%, you know, 1 in 5, that is... Okay. I gotta, yeah. This is not a perfect AAA. I'm usually on it better than that, but I'll let it go. He stole a 20% chance that from me that my infantry might survive is essentially what happened. You know, another way of looking at it is, you know what, you rolled a 1 anyway on that, yeah, it might be the better way of looking at it. He rolled a 1 anyway on the offshore, so, I don't know. Okay, I'm too nice. Okay, so we'll just get over that. Picardy, and the Germans hit back, right, so, yeah, peace swapped. So that German took out 2 guys and died from a unit that wasn't supposed to be shooting at him to begin with, but alright. It's over. He drops 4 infantry in London and the rest in India. I'm actually pretty stoked about that he's not fully focusing on India. And picks up 39 IPCs. Doesn't save any. Okay, the Turks, the Ottomans, I should say. We buy 3 infantry. We do not fight. We place 3 infantry in Constantinople. And we pass. The Italians buy 4 infantry and save 2. They pull out of Tuscany. I was wondering what he would do here. And confirmed that he moved into Rome. He ends with 11, but or we're picking up 11, but ends with 13. So that's 2 more IPCs that he has saved, right? So he's up to 3 saved IPCs. This will become important momentarily. To a point I'm going to be making. Okay, then the American menagerie, confusing, blah, 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 inefficient. This is just, ugh. I don't like it. I mean, it is kind of neat that he has so many that he can essentially sea lift in an army into Albania. That is so weird. But I guess the biggest takeaway, he accidentally did battle in Tuscany. Of course, he didn't want to do that, so he edits it back in. Places 6 pieces in on, yeah. So the weirdest thing is that he didn't sea lift any American units out of Smyrna and drop them into Rome or in Tuscany or anywhere. It's just he's going to surrender Tuscany and not reinforce Rome. Right? I don't know. To me, the writing is becoming more clearly written on the wall, but to someone who's, I don't know, he claims he's played many games of this over the board, but this is only the 2nd game he and I have played. It doesn't seem that he can see it as clearly as what I believe I can see. So, we are done. We now purchase 13 infantry. No, sorry, 12 infantry and 1 artillery. Okay. And, you know, I looked at the numbers, crunched everything, and yeah, we need to reinforce. Of course. I'm not going to attack in Albania. I'll put those 2 pieces back in at the end of this turn. This infantry is going to push, shuck push. Bring in yet another artillery. And I think I decided on putting 4 pieces there. So we end up like this. And that's how I'm going to fan it. Oh, and I decided I wanted to put a piece here, and that's to just displace more units into Tatarstan if he decides to send the assets from Persia into Kazakhstan. At any rate, most of this unit, or all of these armies here, are set to dead zone Sevastopol. I like that it's Russian, dead income, but if he decides to ram in all his assets, this will counterattack with air power, and we'll be able to control the field for at least a turn or 2. Okay, what else? Go back to my palette here, and I decided to move 1, 2, 3, 4 more pieces here. All these guys move from Venice to Tuscany. We're going to put 8 pieces in Venice. We'll go over this momentarily. And then everybody else but one goes into Trieste. The one goes into Tyrolia. That's just a map control item. And I already know what I'm doing with the Germans. That dude in Switzerland will be locked up in contested status. So, cycle through. That's it. Let me just check against my 15-3-2-4-1. 15-3-2-4-1. 5-2, blah, blah, blah. Yes, it looks good. We're going to done out. Kill this American. It doesn't matter if he hits us or not because we shrug it. Because we got tanks galore. Then we're going to use the edit mode and hit these. Damage these other tanks only because tanks can't take 2 hits on defense. So that's that. Done. Yes. Drop them in. And don't forget to add in, or add back in the 2 units in Albania. Okay. We're then going to skip the Russian turn, because there are no Russians but the fellow in Sevastopol. Oh Lord, come on now. And then, we buy 15 infantry and 2 artillery as the Germans. Before I move for the combat move as the Germans, actually I'll just do an analysis at the end. Let me just make all my moves and show you what the heck I'm looking at. So we're going to put 2 into Switzerland to freeze this infantry up, possibly take it, possibly kill that guy too. Alsace moves into Lorraine. It's 8.4 units at 8, attacking 3 units at 9, so we more or less want to kind of lock up this guy group and maybe do some damage to him, maybe get their artillery if we're lucky. This army here smashes Picardy, and then we stack everyone we can in Belgium. Yeah, everyone we can. Okay, that goes there, that goes there. You come here, you come here. But generally speaking, we're using the Hanover-Ruhr-Belgium axis of advance for the moment. I've decided on one other little trick here. This transport comes in, brings up an infantry, and on the following turn we're going to pull 2 artillery out, so we have 4-4 with 1 blocker in Finland. We'll bring those 2 artillery out of Karelia, bring them down into Holland, and begin the siege of Paris. Yeah, this concludes my turn. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. No, it doesn't conclude it. We need to move these assets south. Okay, now. Done out. Switzerland first. Picked it up. And he didn't hit us. Lorraine. Oh! Oh! Whoa, what a bloodbath. 3. Wow, that was so highly improbable. All 3 of his units hit, but 3 out of 4 mine hit. Jeez. Okay. Less French is always good. Battle in Picardy. Kill them all. Take no damage. We damage the tanks. This is interesting. Oh, goodness. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Call that good. Okay. Done out. And now I'm going to review the more improved. I did not expect to really capture either of those territories. But, wow. Okay, so here's what's going on, and I do think this is the drumbeat, the death knell, death rattle for the Entente. They can pick it up, but the window is becoming quite narrow. So why I left the center of the board quite weak. We have a German army on the extreme north flank in Picardy. We have an Austrian army on the extreme southern flank in Tuscany. The center of the board is very weak. The center of the board is where all the money is. Alsace, Munich, Tyrolia, Venice, Piedmont, Lorraine. All can be accessed from Switzerland. And he has all these, look how much stuff he can shove into Switzerland. Do you know why I know that's pretty much not going to happen? There's a condition under which it could, in a version of what of stacking Switzerland and then just pulverizing the economy of the map. It can't because, it's highly incentivized not to do that as the Entente because I control Moscow. CP controls Moscow. Once Paris falls, the game is over. So he has to leave at least enough assets back here to create a contested zone. And to do that safely, he needs at least 45 units, and that's not even him winning. That's him leaving enough to create a contested zone. So he could put an army in Switzerland, but they would be effectively mobility killed. They wouldn't be able to get back to Paris where they're needed for 2 turns. So for 2 turns, I would have an unfettered attack with only French, not even British, intervening. And my supply train is thick and strong. It's got 12, 13, 15 infantry, and it's just going to get worse. So I don't think the French are moving Switzerland, and if they do, I've already kind of gamed out how to get in front of them and stop them. Piedmont, why did I leave the Austrians hanging in Venice? There's only 8 infantry there. They're just going to get snuffed. The French could just send this army into Venice and smash them. Well, that's because the counterattack is so devastating. I don't expect that. The most they might do is send in, a handful of artillery, maybe 8 or 9 infantry, and just try to gum up the reinforcements, but that's just ridiculous too, again, for the same reason. They can be snapped off, so I don't see anybody molesting my reinforcement, my supply train, despite how foreboding it looks. I expect the French to fall back. I think that they can and should get out of Piedmont and into Burgundy, try to hold Burgundy and Paris together. That would be something that I think is a little more realistic. Over here on this part of the board, this is the true Western Front, where nothing's moving. The battle lines are staying the same, essentially feeding in just enough troops to stymie the British. It's a +5 peace count in my favor consistently every turn, but I do intend to up that starting next turn after next. But we should be okay so long as he keeps putting more, these infantry in London. I don't know what good he's doing with them now. I mean, he can't even really put them in Brest safely. But of course, he didn't know I was going to hit Picardy. But if he doesn't, I mean, I think that Entente should stop reinforcing London. This is Constantinople needs to get hit. You just got to suck up the losses. Although I did analyze it, I can understand why he doesn't want to move in as the British. And I'll just say that the Austrians can absorb all the hits for the most part, most of them, and then you're left with this very strong Ottoman force with no Entente assets to shield the Brits. In other words, the turn after the Brits is the Ottomans. So when you calculate for that, it looks pretty bad for the British. On the flip side, you would eliminate vital units, and so I think still at the end of the day, you should just get on with it. But I digress. The last thing I wanted to go over was that we're just taking a look at the economy. Central Powers have 1263, Allied Powers have 1272, so he's 9 IPC greater value on the board, but when you subtract out naval units, the CP have a substantial, I think it's 100 or 150 plus IPC advantage when in terms of land units, where it matters, where IPCs are actually being traded. So that's good. And then the other thing you want to look at is the IPC count on the board. Now this looks like he's 5 up. The Allied powers or Entente have 110, the CP have 105. I spent all my money, so that's a straight 105. The Allies, the Entente, they saved 3 is the United States, 2 is Italy, and 1 is France. So they're actually, their real value, their real board value is 104. So because of some luck, capturing Lorraine and Switzerland, I actually outgunned them by 1 IPC. Of course, this is through the lens of just having finished the CP turns, but when we look at the map, we don't see a whole lot of gain for the Entente. They could punch Constantinople, we just talked about. That would bring us down 6. Not a huge gain, but pretty much needs to be done if you want to have a shot at the W. And over here, I don't see a whole lot of gain either. Maybe Switzerland and Lorraine flip, but they're highly likely to flip back. We talked about Venice, so you could plunge into Venice, but that, again, it's just not going to affect the economy substantially or for very long even. So that's the writing on the wall that I'm talking about. That's my evidence for it. It's becoming more clear. I think it's going to become more pronounced if he doesn't take some pretty substantial risks at this point. So that's all for now. Thanks for watching this. All the best from the good captain, and bye-bye.